Today I want to talk about Sherlock, BBC series, which is unique in the sense that it's a classical story told in a modern setting. This is not the only uniqueness of this TV series. It's been shot twice, at least the first episode. They created a pilot that few people have seen. This is a great opportunity to compare what does the initial idea look like and how it's being presented in a more interesting and fun way, which made this series known worldwide. And the connecting tissue between this idea and this great presentation is video editing and motion design. It starts with the title of the series.
Nothing happens to me.
Which is this text appearing on the screen and the creators' names and what it's based on, which is functional and which does the job it was intended to do. We see in the real life, let's say real Sherlock, it's brought to the next level.
Nothing happens to me.
We see the modern day London with Sherlock written in old font. We see investigations and crimes and some evidence which we don't have context for, but we are set for this crime story. We see the science of it. So we know this is going to be an investigation story, a detective story, which is based on some scientific background and some scientific method, which is what Sherlock is known for, that his deduction is kinda realistic. Another thing this series is known for is how we are connected to Sherlock Holmes, to his deductions and how he investigates the scenes, the crimes. And he thinks that this is dumb, and he just shakes his head and the text disappears. None of the characters in the room know this, but we know. And this is how the same information delivered in the pilot.
God's sake, if you're just making this up.
A wedding ring, look at it. It's too tight. It was thinner when she first wore it. That says married for a while. Also, there's grime in the gem setting.
But the rest of her jewelry's recently been cleaned. That tells you everything you need to know about the state of her marriage.
Which is functional. Again, the characters discussed all the same information and clues that we just had a look at. And this is enough for us. But what my point is, using motion design and video editing, we take the basic premise and the scene, which works on its own, and take it to the whole new level just by making this exciting and interesting and making the viewer connected to these discoveries and just feeling like he's investigating himself. There are some simpler examples of a good motion design here. For example, how this TV series works with text, which is done in this very simple but elegant and beautiful, in my opinion, decision. However, in the pilot episode, we can see Sherlock sitting by the desk, by the computer desk, and seeing this ugly 2000s interface, which is, if you look at this right now, just looks outdated.
I hope I'm not distracting you.
When characters communicate, it's just displayed on the object in the frame. Just a simple, beautiful text. However, in the pilot, we can see Watson looking at his old phone. And tell me if you know what this phone is. This TV series must be pretty old. While looking at the version that we're all familiar with, this is just a simple and beautiful text on the screen, which I guess will never get old. And another thing that's pretty technical, but it gives a great effect, is the sound design. And I'm talking about the effects, the quality of them, and the music, how it guides your emotions when you watch the scene. For example, this is how it's done in the series that we all saw.
He left him, he would have kept it. People do sentiment, but no, he wanted rid of it. He left her. He gave the phone to you. That says he wants you to stay in touch. You're looking for cheap accommodation, and you're not going to your brother for help. It says you've got problems with
We hear the beat that creates this rhythm, but on top there is another melody that's developed. Can feel that there is a high point coming up.
Every night he goes to plug it in to charge, but his hands are shaking. You never see those marks on a sober man's phone, never see a drunk's without them. There you go, you see, you were right.
I was right. Right about what?
It reaches the peak with the music, and then there is a crescendo, and then there is quiet. And we understand that the message is delivered. And this is how it's done in pilot.
Every night he plugs it in to recharge, but his hands are shaking. You never see those marks on a sober man's phone, never see a drunk's without them. There you go, you see, you were right.
I was right. Right about what?
Much simpler with simpler effects and not such effective music, which drives the point home. And it doesn't have this development, doesn't have the crescendo and then the stop, which is, again, functionally does the job the same way. We get the same scene and the same information. It's not cool. The power of video editing and motion design is that they take two separate pieces. By connecting them, they create this emotion. This is what we want in our content, in our videos, in our films and TV series. We want them to feel something, and this is the power of fiction. For example, here we can see an interesting transition which creates this sense of urgency. We cut straight from one place to another. We can feel creates this urgency. The same example here where we can see the two parallel events unravel, where Sherlock is more and more in danger and Watson is looking for him and trying to find him and to save him. And by having these two pieces connected together, this creates this third meaning of urgency and drama, and that if he doesn't come there in time, someone's gonna die. And then again, cut, and we hear and see this crescendo. Something is wrong. While in the pilot, it's done in a very simple and bland way. Just one scene at a time. Sherlock and the killer, we don't see Watson, we don't know how urgent and how critical is this situation, and if Sherlock is really in danger or if he's in control. We don't know, we don't feel anything here. And sometimes we just use motion design, video editing. We just want to make something cool and fun. This is in the pilot where Sherlock just simply approaches the taxi driver.
What's he doing?
Sherlock's on the case. Bad news for bad people.
And in the finished product, we can see a real chase scene in this episode. The editing creates this characters running one line of action, then there's another line of action, the taxi driver going away, and all this mixed together creates this tension and this chase and this feeling of urgency and epicness. On top, we can see a level of motion design where we can see the characters on the map, we can see the taxi driver on the map and how their paths are coming together and how this chase is developing. Functionally not necessary, but it's just cool and fun. And this is what we do sometimes. We just do motion design because it makes things look cool. So yeah, this was my story I wanted to tell. I hope this was fun and interesting for you to watch. I see you in the next one. Bye.